I'm going to take that skid plate that we took off at the beginning of the video, this one right here. I'm going to bring that over to the bench vise, and I'm going to run the grinder on that a bit and see if we can get a little bit of this old rust and everything off there as well. Alright, so we got our scraper edge ground down to bare metal in most parts, tied it up pretty well. The back, which was against the tunnel, is actually in really good shape. I don't think I'm going to need to touch that very much at all. Might just take the dirt off and give it like one coat of paint just as a little barrier to the elements. I tied it up to cutting edge. It was pretty ragged and had a lot of sharp edges. So really I kind of just gave it one big sharp edge instead of many little burrs. But that's the condition it is right now. So I'm going to get some cardboard and lay it down and give it a coat of some black enamel. I think I got some kind of black paint there anyway, so we'll give that a coating. I'll be right back. Alright, so now we'll get a bit of paint put on that scraping edge. I don't have anything special here. This is just standard engine enamel high temp stuff, and I'm just going to use it because I got it here. And that scraping edge is just going to get scraped again, so we're just going to want to put a little bit of coverage on it to protect it as much as we can. And like I say, we're not being overly particular with that. We just want it covered. And this enamel is actually a metallic, engine metallic. It has a really nice sparkle to it. I really like it. So anyways, now that the painting is done and the grinding is done, we're going to start going towards a little bit of assembly, only in the sense of that scraping plate that we took off earlier. I'm going to put that back on now that everything is dry. We're going to let it cure for almost another week. We're waiting on the augers to come back from powder coat, so we do have time to let this paint sit and cure properly and harden up before we put it to work in the snow. We haven't got any snow yet, none that stayed around at least, so we do have time, hopefully. and we won't get caught off guard while we have the snowblower out of commission. Alright, so here's our refinished scraping plate. Turned out pretty nice. So we'll get that put back in place now. It looks about right for position wise. So we'll just get some nuts now and secure that in place. So I will do the two end bolts first, since those are the easiest to put back in the original position, since there's a little bit of paint on the outside scraped from the washers previously. And we'll just use the ratchet to get those going in properly. And now that we have the end bolts put in, we'll just go along with the bottom pieces now to secure the bottom lip. Alright, we'll just tighten those down with the socket. Again, 12mm. There we go. That's the scraper bar put back in place. Alright, next I'm just going to remove the painter's tape. Not a big job by any means, but just adds to our progression. You don't want the paint to be fully cured when you're removing the painter's tape, just because you could end up with cracks. You want it to still be a little bit soft and pliable to the point where you can get the tape off smoothly. And sometimes the paint on the tape can be still wet while the paint on the metal is dry. So make sure not to touch the tape off of off the tunnel once you have it off. And there we have it. The tape is removed. Alright, so the little thing that I was alluding to earlier that you may have picked up on in the first video is the chute. We've done everything with the tunnel. Just need some augers back now at this point. But the chute is still a weak point for us. We got some areas of sandblasting up in here and down through here. Alright, so we're going to start out with the easier task of the chute, and that's the black diverter at the top. So it's just 2 cotter pins and a spring and 1 securing rod. So let's get to it. First the cotter pin. And there is a washer behind that cotter pin, so be prepared to catch that. Slowly but surely. There we go. There's the washer. Take that off. So we have 1 more cotter pin. We can choose this one or this one. Doesn't really make a difference. I'll just choose this back one. So this one does not have a washer, from what I can see. Side. And there we go, that is free. So with that, I'm just going to manually let the spring go. And then we have this 1 securing rod. And just push it up and haul it out. Alright, So that's our diverter housing. Easy enough. I'm just going to put that on the floor and put some coats of paint on it. There's little to no rust on there to worry about. Alright, so there's the black diverter, and with the magic of cameras we're going to apply some painter's tape. Alright, no big amount of tape. I'm just going to try and be as precise as I can be. I'm not worried about a little bit of paint going over the edge. And I'll just use my heat gun to speed this along a bit. We'll go for another coat. And third one for good measure. Alright, I'm satisfied enough with that. Turned out really nice. Alright, so I have indeed decided to take the chute off, as I figured I might. I already pre-loosened these nuts on here, and I can tell you with a great degree of certainty that there was lots of thread locker on them. I had to give them a good bump with the heel of my hand to get them to come out to loosen. So it's just three bolts, 3 nuts, loosen and release. Try not to lose it down inside the machine. If I can get my hand on it. And there we go. Off it comes. That was pretty easy. 3 bolts, no washers. Okay. Alright, so here we go. We got our chute ready for paint. So with that, we will begin. That's one nice thing about the shape of the chute, is it should funnel this hot air down the length of it and help dry faster. Alright, and one final coat for good measure. There we have it. Another piece done. Also, while we have the chute off, I'm going to just touch up a little bit down in the chute neck. Alright, and that's that. Alright, now that things have dried relatively well, we're going to just reassemble the chute for now. So the chute turned out really nice. So let's get it in place. Little dab. A little dab on there. We'll just put in our little, this one is really nice, by the way. It's like a chapstick type of lip balm. You just roll up the bottom and it slowly comes out as a gel at the top. So this is Permatex medium strength. No worries, I'm definitely not sponsored by them. Okay, put the cap on our thread locker, get our ratchet, crank these down. There we go. So that's the base of the chute reinstalled. And I will also reinstall the control cable. Just goes up through this loop here. When I took it off, take note that I had to take this nut all the way off because the groove in this bracket is only wide enough for the wire, not for the actual pole of the bolt. So put the wire in and pull that up. You tighten your nut down. It's also a 10mm nut, by the way. I'll get my 10mm wrench. Tighten that down. Not too tight, but secure. Then there's a little rubber boot. That goes down over the threads into a little groove that's there. Okay, that's in the groove. So we got our wire, control wire reinstalled. And now we'll get ready to reinstall our diverter head. That's what I'm calling it anyways, diverter head. Alright, let's try for a reinstall of this. There we go. Easier going back on than it was coming off. I'm also going to get the securing rod in first. Okay, so that's on. Then the top one. Okay, that's the cotter pin through, and then we bend the legs all the way back. One, and there's two. Alright, one thing left to do. That is the washer and cotter pin down on top of this banjo fitting. The washer and cotter pin. Tap that through. And bend back the legs. I'm glad these cotter pins are working again because I thought about going and buying new ones if these ones ran any risk of cracking off, but they're still pretty solid yet pliable, so I think I'll trust them for now. And there we go, that's secure. Last thing, pull up on the spring. That's back in place. There we go. Let's have a look at the chute. I think it turned out quite nicely. So there we go. That's the chute refurbished, refinished. So guys, that'll finish up today's video. I hope you've enjoyed the content. We got a lot of work done, so we're just waiting on those augers to come back from powder coat, and we should be able to get to our final assembly. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time.